The Jersey Swap podcast is sponsored by Apollo Home. Folks, it might not be the perfect time for a maintenance visit, but if your air conditioning system is not keeping up, sub it out and give Apollo Home a call. Mention that you're calling because of Cincinnati Soccer Talk, and then mention that Mike said we'd give you a deal. The customer service team will know exactly which Mike that is. Give them a call or go online at apollohome.com. The Jersey Swap podcast is also sponsored by Beyond Exercise. Beyond Exercise is a local physical therapy and fitness business that helps people stay active and injury free. In fact, they help some of our local MLS, MLS Next Pro, and FCC Academy players with their health and performance needs. Check out their suite of services at gobeyondexercise.com. Hey, welcome back to another Jersey Swap where we're already looking towards the 3-day weekend and Saturday's big matchup. I have my red, white, and blue on, all set for the fireworks. Thanks to Olive in York, not a sponsor. I love their stuff, though. Speaking of explosive and thrilling entertainment that bursts in the air, you're orange and blue. 3 for 3 in June. They haven't exactly been skyrockets, but wins on the road are piling up. And so FC Cincinnati, they may not be the punchiest fireworks out there, but they still dazzle when they're lit. And so now we're back for 3 juicy meals at home. Columbus and Miami are on the docket, but we cannot look past the Chicago Fire. Today, to talk Chi-Town, we have with us a guest. He is the host of Danny T Radio. It is Danny himself from Danny T Radio. How are you doing tonight, Danny? Oh, I think I put you on mute. How about that?
No worries. I'm a little hot because it's a little sweaty in this room, but we're doing all right. Can't wait for this weekend's matchup.
Excellent. I mean, we've already faced off once. We might as well do it again. We still need to figure out what we can name this rivalry between the Fire and FC Cincinnati. We feel like we're close enough for derbies, but nobody wants to call it really anything just yet. But I'm sure we'll figure that out.
Yeah, you know what? That'll be my homework assignment for tonight. I'll figure something out.
So you're all over YouTube. You have your Danny T Radio is all over that. You do a lot of your kit reviews. You do a lot of examination into things. How did you get started using YouTube as a medium?
Well, I got fired from my job. Yeah, I used to work in radio. That was my Twitter handle, was Danny T Radio, and I was working at a station for a couple of years, but then new owners came in and replaced everyone. So I was on my own, and I was living the life of just applying to jobs every day. And I was applying everywhere, even Cincinnati, but wasn't getting any bites. And at one point, I just got so fed up that I needed a break. And there was a lot of YouTubers that I watched back in the day, KTO, Flemlo Raps. They make a lot of similar videos that I do, but they kind of focus more on American football. And I always thought, well, no one's doing this for MLS. I would love to try something out. And it just got to a point where I was so burnt out from applying for jobs that I decided to make a YouTube video and started off with that. And I got so excited when I got my first 10 views on my first video, and I just fell in love with it since.
I wish I had a plaque for my first 10 views, but I don't think we really go with that here. One of the things I think I also got really interested in, you've got them hung up all in your back there, are your kit reviews, your kit rankings. You've been doing them since 2020 from what you've explained. So I always thought, Jersey Swap, let's start and talk a little bit about what your favorite kits are, not just, from the Fire, your home team, but also around the MLS. What would you say would be like your top kits for right now?
And I love this topic. I love talking jerseys. My favorite jersey from this year, I love the Goosebumps kit. I love the current Fire kit. I'm so glad that they brought back the red and white stripe, because for a couple years when they went to that blue era, didn't feel like the Fire. Didn't like it. But as far as like my favorite jerseys that I, ever since I've been doing these rankings since 2020, I love the 2021, and I promise I'm not just saying this because I'm on, your show, but I love the FC Cincinnati 2021 kit. Very, very similar to LAFC's current kit, but I think the, color scheme is better with the dark blue and the orange and blue thin stripes. Also from that year, the Philadelphia Union Lightning Bolt kit.
Right,
Love
right,
that
right,
one.
right.
Um,
I think like the Thomas's brand or something like that on that one.
yeah,
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 that was a very sweet one. Yeah.
yeah. As far as probably my favorite ever fire kit, we got to go way back to 2000. I think they wore it for 3 years. I think it was 2000, 2001, 2002. But it was just a standard red jersey, white stripe, but I had a blue collar and a blue stripe underneath the white stripe. And my friend had that jersey, and I was always really jealous of him, that he would wear it so often at school. And that's kind of like, my holy grail of fire jerseys. I want to get that one. Um,
There we go.
that's the one. Yeah. If I can cop that someday, I'll be very, very happy.
Yeah, is that the one that eventually they got like the Quaker Oats sponsor on that one, or am I thinking a little too far in the past?
So that was in the Quaker Oats didn't happen until mid 2010s. This is back when they still had the just the name on the
Mm.
jersey, before the jersey sponsors really came in. Yeah, when the Quaker Oats came in, it was kind of weird because they decided to shift away from the white hoop or white, stripe across the chest. One year they did like a blue hoop, which was okay, but it wasn't great. And then one year they just really messed it up where they tried to do blue into light blue into red, and it looked like a mess, and I
What
hated it.
was
I
it?
think
This
it was
one?
that one. Yeah, that is probably my least favorite fire jersey that they've ever released. I think it was 2014. But
Yeah.
yeah, it doesn't even feel like the fire, especially when they paired it with blue shorts. It's we're the men in red. We should be
Mm.
primarily red, and this just had a little bit too much blue going on for me, and
Yeah,
it does not work for me.
yeah. I think we had sort of our same complaints when they tried to. Well, I'll bring up my worst for FC Cincinnati, and that's the white one from
Yeah,
2019. Oh
yeah.
boy, that the Haynes jersey. Uh, I think it was just one of those things. They ran out of time. They just slapped the logo and sponsor on top of it.
I I
Um,
feel like every team in this league has at least one of those jerseys where you're just thinking, what are they going for? Because the Fire had a similar jersey. They had an all white jersey too, and everyone hated it. I don't know what they're going for, but yeah, I agree. That's probably the worst Cincinnati jersey that they've released.
yeah, but I would say the best has got to be the 2022 away jersey. I think
Yeah.
you didn't quite rank it so high, but I a lot of us really reacted to that faded flag pattern in the background, and it looks really good. I'll admit that the silver probably is something that they could have replaced with the same color blue as the collar, but
Hmm.
regardless, I think a lot of people fell in love with orange as being a solid away color for this team.
Yeah, I agree, and I think one of my critiques on Cincinnati jerseys is that sometimes it feels like they don't know what to do with orange. It's like they have a
Mm,
great color scheme of blue and orange, but sometimes it feels like, what are they going for? And this one, they just went with the orange base, and I thought it looked great. I love it. I agree with you that I think maybe if they would have made it blue instead of silver for um, the sponsorship, and I think the number in the back, maybe it
mhm.
would have looked better. But still, I do enjoy this kit a lot too.
Yeah, I really think that in general, we tend to hit a little bit of the target nowadays. But 2019 was not our best year for introducing everybody to us in the MLS. Let's move a little bit closer to really what these teams are composed of. As you're showing, you're a big Fire fan, so we brought you on to talk a little bit about how they're looking this season. And I think the big name, of course, has been Gregg Berhalter coming in as
Mhm.
head coach. You had spoken a little bit before I think the actual announcement came on. You spoke a little bit about Gregg Berhalter coming to the Fire. Has the risk been worth the reward in terms of getting him on the team?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, this was the Fire have been, pardon the pun, they've been a dumpster fire for a long time now. I think the number is 2 playoff appearances in the last 16 years. So it's been rough. And we've tried the strategy of going outside and bringing in a European coach. We've tried the strategy of getting a guy that was really um, had a long history in MLS as a assistant coach with Ezra Hendrickson. We've tried Klopas 3 or 4 times now as our head coach. And I was just so happy with the hiring of Berhalter because he's a proven winner in
Mhm.
MLS. I mean, I think he's in his time in Columbus, he missed the playoffs once, but you take away that year, he's made it to the playoffs every year, made it to MLS Cup once, and he did it in a pretty small market and with not a lot of star power. So I just thought it was the perfect hiring for Chicago at the time, and so far it's easy to look at them and say, well, they're only eighth place in the Eastern Conference, but compared to what we have been, um, we already have not we the Chicago Fire already have more wins than they did all of last season. So things are definitely trending up, and I am still very excited.
Do you feel like the players are on the record saying that they're enjoying this system, or that they feel pretty relaxed, or at least the on the coach's side in terms of how the play fits with them? I bring this up because just I think I saw something about Olivier Giroud about how MLS didn't fit with his style of play.
Mhm.
So I mean, are the players really buying into what's being sold?
I think so because the Fire had Xherdan Shaqiri, the last couple of years, and that one didn't work out. Really, any of the big DP signings that the Fire had the last couple of years have not panned out. And this is the first time in a long time that the big name signings actually look like they're working out. Zinckernagel is a all-star this year. Jonathan Bamba is one of the most electrifying players to watch, even if he can't finish this season for whatever reason. He's been great to watch. A lot of the new younger guys are coming in, and they look like they have a lot of promise. So, haven't heard of really any locker room controversies so far. So, I think so far so good. Obviously, we're only I think 17 or 18 games into the Gregg Berhalter era into the Fire, so it's still very young, but early signs are very promising.
Yeah, you mentioned Zinkernagel. Um, join the league. One of the wingers there, the only All-Star representative, but a kind of surprising one. I really thought that maybe Hugo Kuipers might get a nod, or at least something like that. Um, I guess the question is, does he deserve the nod in your opinion for being on the All-Star team?
I mean, I think so, but I also have a lot of bias for the Fire.
Mhm.
I and you bring up Kuipers. I would have liked to seen him. We don't get a lot of all-star representatives. We didn't have any last year. I'm trying to think of before that. I think we had one in 2023, but it's one every couple of seasons. And Zinkernagel has been just a complete professional with this team. He's been the general in the midfield, and I absolutely agree with that selection. And I'm happy that the coaches brought him because it's no secret the Fire doesn't exactly have the biggest fan base as of right now in MLS, and losing for a decade and a half will do that. You'll lose some fans that way. So when it comes to the All-Star vote, a lot of these players, it's tough to get in through the fan vote. So I'm very happy that the coaches brought him through, and I think he absolutely deserves it.
Yeah, I think at least one, if not both, could have been acknowledged in there. I think Zinkernagel definitely was a surprise, but also looking at how he played last week, the really clever first goal that he had gotten against Charlotte. He's definitely got the talent, I think, to last on this team in his system for quite some time. One of the other big splashes that I wanted to bring up was Jack Elliott at center
Mhm.
back. The reason I bring him also up is because he's a product of the Philly system, as are many players and coaches within FC Cincinnati. Is it too early to sort of give a grade on how well he's played in center back?
Well, I think the first half of the season, or maybe like the first 10-ish games, I probably would have given him and the rest of the Chicago Fire backline a C minus, maybe D plus, because it was pretty consistent that every match you can count on the Fire making just one completely boneheaded decision in the back leading to an easy goal for the other team. However, I will say the last couple matches, the Fire really seemed to solidify themselves in the back. And while they still give up a ton of goals, it's not as much as, what they were. And I don't know if there was a turning point per se of that, but it does seem like since the 7-2 thrashing of Nashville, it just seems like the Fire are a little bit tighter in the back and not making as many mistakes. And also, I know we're not talking about him right now, but I want to give a shout out to Andrew Gutman, former Cincinnati player as well. And before landing with the Fire, was kind of a journeyman, kind of played at a couple different places, but I think he has really stepped up as well, and he's become, a nice piece also going forward. And I know I'm giving a long answer here, but before I would have said I was a little disappointed in Jack Elliott and kind of everyone's performance in the back, but the last couple games, last couple matches, they've started to look better. So I'd probably move that grade closer to about a C or C plus right now.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to bring up that 7-2 loss to Nashville. I mean, we've
You
had our
can.
own we've had
You're
our own
allowed to.
thrashings. We've had our own thrashings at that, but we've also thrashed teams and you guys have thrashed DC United as well on the road. So,
Yep.
take a pound, give a pound. Sometimes you'll have games like that. But yeah, I think I'm counting only 2 clean sheets. So,
Yeah.
are you a little concerned with how the defense is going to look in this game? I mean, you've got, I think, Jeff Gall playing for Chris Brady while the Gold Cup is going on. So, how confident are you feeling about this defense coming in?
Well, it's definitely the biggest concern of mine, and it has been the whole season. I mean, um, I'll tell you what, if you want to get, new fans into soccer, watching the Fire is all right because they score a lot of goals and they give up a lot of goals. So you don't see a lot of 0-0 draws with the Fire this season. And you're right, they do only have 2 shutouts this season. The back line, I would still say, is the weakest part of this team. And when you're going up against guys like Evander and everyone that Cincinnati has, yeah, it's always going to be a concern at this point. But it, I'm I'm less concerned now, or I'm more optimistic now, and maybe it's because the Fire are on somewhat of a good run of form now. But there was about a month and a half ago when the Fire were riding a 5 or 6 game winless streak, where it was just kind of waiting for when's the next mistake going to happen, and really they have tweaked some things, and we're not seeing that as much anymore.
Yeah. And adjustments are a part of it. I mean, getting into the middle of the season, I'm sure that Chicago's got some uh, image of what they're going to try to pick up in the summer transfer window. Unfortunately, Kevin De Bruyne is not one of those names.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're doing. I think you're doing miles better than what last year had. Even looking back at the last game against Cincinnati, the 3-2 loss, but
Mhm.
Cincinnati won 3-2 up there. And I think a lot of people's lips are that controversial first goal scored by Evander. I mean, well, I I don't want to bring it up, but was there sort of like the team trying to get that sort of looked at and maybe brought up against PRO?
Well, look, I mean, I am not someone that pins losses on one referee's decision, or in this case, it was a deflection off the referee, which kind of led to the breakaway on Cincinnati. The game's 90 plus minutes. It's going to take more than just one bad call or one awkward instance from the referee to change the results or to um, dramatically change the result of a match, whether it's a win or a loss. So I'm not someone that really pins matches on one moment like that. With that being said, I thought the Fire, and I did rewatch the highlights of that one. I thought the Fire looked pretty good against Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati, they took their chances, and that's what you got to do when you're playing on the road. And unfortunately, something for the Fire is a lot of times they do get a lot of opportunities and they kind of squander them away. Now, they do score a lot still. They're, I think, the highest scoring team in the Eastern Conference, which is great. But that number could probably be even higher if it's not for easy misses. And the one thing about this Fire team that we're seeing is that while Gregg Berhalter definitely has his system of building out of the back and having possession, this team is at its best when they are running. When they send Bamba down the sidelines and he's streaking and cutting it in towards the box and playing that final ball. Or we saw that first goal. I know you already mentioned it, but that first goal against Charlotte with Zinckernagel, he's dribbling through 3 different Charlotte players. They're awesome when they're running. But sometimes when you play teams that are more compact and more disciplined, we saw it Chicago Fire when they took on Philadelphia, not this last match, but the one before that. Philly was just bending but not breaking. Chicago, it looked like they didn't know what to do to find that final pass in the third. So if you play a team that's a little bit more disciplined, the Fire sometimes have a hard time of breaking through. Saw them score 7 goals against DC United, and that's because DC United could not shut down Bamba to save their lives. But Fire had a hard time against Philadelphia because they were able to stop those big runs and just kind of absorb the pressure and wait for the Fire to make that last pass, which they couldn't do.
Yeah, that was an incredible outcome against DC United. I kind of wish that we had that last time we played them, but beggars can't be choosers in that case. Let's talk a little bit about this upcoming match. Sort of prep the game a little bit. I'd mentioned that Chris Brady is probably not going to be available in goal. How do you see the starting lineup sort of shaking out?
That's tough. That's really tough because right now the Fire have a U.S. Open Cup game on Tuesday. That is a short turnaround.
Right,
And Berhalter has already made it very apparent that they're taking this tournament seriously. They are going all in on the U.S. Open Cup. You saw that with their last 2 U.S. Open Cup matches. They played pretty close to A+ lineups. And so I expect the same thing on Tuesday when they're in Minnesota, which, by the way, I totally fine with. I agree with that decision. The last trophy that the Fire won was 2006. We're in a bit of a drought right now. I'm fine with going for the U.S. Open Cup. The problem is that the Eastern Conference is a dogfight this year. I mean, Chicago, every other week, they're bouncing above the red line. They're below the playoff line, above the red line and below it. And it doesn't really feel like they can lose any points. I think it's going to come down to the last week of the regular season. I think it's going to come down to decision day, whether or not they get in. So I think if the Fire were in a little bit of a better position, they'd be able to kind of, rotate some players, maybe punt this match away and be fine with it. Or if they were playing, maybe a little bit of a weaker opposition that they felt more comfortable with, they don't have that. They're playing a good Cincinnati team, and I feel like they kind of have to play their starters in this one. And we might see some rotation, some early subs coming in this one, but I think you're going to see mostly the same lineup from this past week against Charlotte.
Yeah, so it's a good chance you're going to see the 4-3-3 attacking formation. Jack Elliott with Sam Rogers probably in the middle. But I mean, your 3-headed spear up top with Bamba, Zinckernagel, and Kuipers. It's hard to really replace anybody there. The other thing I can also bring up is, if I recall, I think Chicago is not going to be in the Leagues Cup this year. I think they only take the top 9 in each conference, and so there's a little bit of recovery time there. So maybe you can afford to play a little bit more of the starters if they're not susceptible to an injury, or they can recover within like that 3-week span.
That's a good point that honestly I didn't really think about. But yeah, in August, they're not going to have as many matches. The only thing I would say to counter that is right now Chicago is very thin in depth because they've lost a lot of people to injury as well. So, there's a couple of young academy players that are coming up. I can't think of their names off the top of my head. One of them that was really disappointing to lose was Christopher Cups. He is now out with a somewhat long-term injury after he got hurt playing with the U.S. Nationals or the youth team. I don't know if it was U19 or U20 something, but that's a big loss for us. That's a big loss for the Fire as well. So it's tough because there's not a lot of players left in the reserves or the bench that the Fire can turn to right now, unless they really want to go young and go with some of the academy guys.
Yeah, there's a few other names. Let me see. I think Tehran and Mueller have been sort of on the IR or the bereavement list. Um, so yeah, it seems though. I mean, it's still working. It's still clicking. 4-3-3. You've got the gears in motion. So let's put everything in place and make our predictions. I don't know if how often you make these predictions or if you roll the dice on your videos. We have the Growler Cup. So if you do donate as a Patreon, you'd be able to make picks for all of our games and also predict the score. So I'm going to open up the floor to you. I'm going to give you a freebie here. You can make your pick. You can give us your score. How do you see this game panning out? And maybe if you can, give us a why.
Well, there are some teams that just have the Fire's number. Nashville's one of them, and Cincinnati seems to be one of them. Cincinnati seems to have gotten the better of the Fire over the last couple seasons. And given the fact that um, I think there is going to be some turnover a little bit, I don't know how much, but I think they are going to be looking ahead to the Open Cup game on Tuesday against Minnesota. I'm not super confident going into this one, even though Chicago's playing on the road, and for whatever reason, they have a much better record on the road than at home this season. But I'm leaning Cincinnati to win this one. I'll probably say a score of, it might be a repeat of last time. It might be 3-1 as well. Now, with that being said, would I be shocked if the Fire are able to, pull out a draw or steal one away? No, I wouldn't be shocked, and that's one of the big differences with how I'm feeling about this team than in the last 5 years with this team. The last 5 years with this team, I'm just hoping for a fun game, and now I'm hoping for a result here. So I think Cincinnati does take it. I'll say 3-1, same score as last time, but I'm not going to be shocked if the Fire are able to pull out a 1-1 or 2-2 draw.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm looking at the results that Chicago's had 6-0-4. So some quality wins, though. I mean, 3-1 against Orlando, 4-1 against Charlotte, 3-1 at Vancouver. That's some pretty solid pelts under your belt there. And then, the last one being the 7-1 demolition job that you took to DC United. So personally, I am sort of on pins and needles a little bit. Our last home game was against DC United. We didn't look good at all, and we had to crawl
Yep.
out of our own toxic waste that we created. So this could be a game that sneaks up on us. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw like a 2-2 draw. I think our defense is solid. I think our offense is going a little too one way through Vander, who, of course, if he scores 2 goals a game, put it on the board, there's going to be a good chance that they win them. But if he's the only one that's scoring 2, and then you're going up against the hottest offense in the East, I think you're going to start seeing crooked numbers, but similar numbers in both columns. So that's
Yeah,
my
I think the one
prediction.
I think the one thing that we probably both agree on here is that we're going to see goals. I don't think this is going to be a 0-0 or 1-0 park the bus kind of match. I think we're going to see goals from possibly both teams.
Yeah. That being said, I can see a 1-0 game also happening, and Pat Noonan employing that park the bus maneuver that Philadelphia tried to pull off as well and succeeded a few weeks ago. But then again, I look at Philadelphia, and that's really not linked to Noonan anymore. It's not Jim Curtin's team anymore. So
Mhm.
I don't think I could go by that pattern really too much anymore.
Yeah, and that was an interesting one because Philadelphia, they rotated a lot of players in their lineup. So I was feeling pretty good going in, but yeah, they just a masterclass in bending but not breaking, and the Fire just had no answer the entire match.
Yeah, let's see if we have some bending and no breaking here, but I think we're definitely going to see some fireworks. I'm hoping so. I mean, red, white, and blue, those are your colors as well, so
Yeah,
it should be
absolutely.
a lot of fun. So yeah, Danny, thank you very much for joining us. We know that you put out a few videos every now and then. So do you have anything like that you have in the workshop that you can't quite say any details about, or where can we find you for these videos?
Well, both YouTube and Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, is just Danny T Radio. Unfortunately, I'm not able to post as much as I want to, just with life getting in the way. Um, yeah, I had a video that I recorded, but unfortunately, I just kind of had to abandon because yeah, I just was not able to put it out in time, and everything's kind of old now. But it was a video of basically me ranting about why is the United States hosting every single soccer tournament. I think it's fun, to be able to host, but it's like, do we really need to host the Gold Cup every time? Why can't we have a final in Mexico? I mean, we all complain about the United States record at Azteca. Well, it's because they play one meaningful match there when they do World Cup qualifying. How about we put a Gold Cup final there or a Nations League final there? And but that's that video. Unfortunately, I kind of had to scrap. So when I'm able to, when I have a weekend off, I'm gonna start getting back in this room and recording some more stuff.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what else you've got. You're very entertaining. I love seeing the kit ranks come out, and when next year's comes out, I'll definitely keep that one in mind. I'm hoping our away kit. I like our away kit this year. Don't get me wrong, but I hope next year's is a banger.
Well, you know what? I will say this. I kind of regret where I put Cincinnati's away kit 2 seasons ago, because you see the pictures of it and you formulate an opinion of it, but then when you actually see it on the field, it does look different. And the paint the canvas kit has definitely grown on me the more times I've seen it. I still definitely like the orange kit more, and wish they maybe did a little bit more with it. But yeah, the paint the canvas kit has grown on me the more times I've seen it.
I can say that it looks the best when you have Yuya Kubo's name in Japanese on the back there. So
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
that's a thing we can try to peddle the next few years. But thank you very much for joining us, Danny. We'll once again, it's Danny T Radio. Just
Yep.
look for it on YouTube. Look for it on X. And if you want to follow us as well, look for us on YouTube and X. Cincy Soccer Talk on your socials, CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com. If you want to check out our website and go to your favorite podcasting platform, I'm sure you'll see me there without my beaming face there, though. So thank you very much, Danny. Keep your kit clean, and we will see you on Saturday. Thank you.
Thank you. Had a lot of fun.